You running drugs?
I'd rather die than tell you.
You're already a dead man.
You'll send your strangers packing. I will.
You were in a hole, and so was I.
They want us.
Mariano just revealed a secret so dark, it changes everything you thought you knew about Dutton Ranch. He didn't just take the fall for a murder he never committed. He built an entire empire out of revenge, and now Beth, Rip, and Carter are caught right in the middle of it. This is the ending explained. And trust me, you were not ready for this twist. Mariano has been sitting in the shadows this entire season, and when he finally stepped into the light, he proved he was the most dangerous man on the show. What we found out in the finale was that Mariano actually took the fall for a murder that Buller carried out on Robert. Buller's father blamed Mariano for it, which is the reason he was sent away in the first place. He was shipped off to Mexico, but here's the twist nobody saw coming. Mariano wanted Juan to be raised on the ranch, and he trusted Buller to take care of him, which is exactly why she did. This is also why there was a cover story spread around that Mariano had died. It was all done to protect the truth, because if it ever came out that he was still alive, the real story behind Robert's murder would have unraveled completely. This single decision from years ago is the root of everything that happened in this finale, and it shows just how far Mariano was willing to go to protect a secret that could destroy the entire Temple Ranch. This is also where his hatred for the Temple Ranch truly began. When Mariano reached the border of Mexico, his wife ended up getting caught up in something terrible and was killed. That loss changed him. It turned him into the cold, calculated man we saw in this episode. A man capable of ordering hits without blinking. Mariano was called by Juan in the previous episode, and he heard about Robert being left the ranch, something he never wanted to happen because he viewed Robert as nothing more than a liability. In Mariano's eyes, the ranch should have gone to Juan instead, because Juan was always the more sensible one out of the two brothers. As Mariano put it himself, Buller picked blood over competence, and that one choice set off a chain reaction that led to death, betrayal, and a war between two families. The reason Buller even got tangled up with the cartel in the first place goes back almost 15 years to a drought that hit Texas so hard it left the Temple Ranch on its last legs financially. In order to keep the lights on and save the ranch from collapsing completely, Juan reached out to his father and found a way for them to survive. That way turned out to be transporting narcotics into the country using the cattle as cover. It sounds insane, but it worked, and it kept the ranch alive for years. However, Buller eventually wanted out. The guilt, the danger, and the constant fear of getting caught became too much for her to carry, and she felt completely trapped in a situation she never truly agreed to. This is exactly why she believed that Beth and Rip were the perfect people to hand the operation over to, because in her mind, Robert simply couldn't be trusted enough to handle something this serious. When Beth and Rip found out the truth, they were absolutely furious with Buller. They felt betrayed and deeply disappointed that she had lied to them for so long, and they were angry about being dragged into something this dangerous without their knowledge or consent. But Buller's betrayal was only the beginning. Mariano had already set something much darker into motion. He tasked Juan with killing his own brother, Robert, because he wanted that liability completely erased from the picture. Mariano wanted the ranch left entirely to Juan, and he also wanted to send a clear message to Buller that bringing strangers like Beth and Rip into the family business had consequences. And in a moment that shocked everyone watching, Juan actually went through with it. He killed his own brother. This was surprising, especially after episode 2, when the two brothers faced off in the dead of night, and Robert openly mocked Juan, saying he didn't have what it takes to pull the trigger. But in the end, Juan proved him wrong in the most brutal way possible. When Oriana came running down and screamed after seeing her father's lifeless body, something in that moment felt off. It looked like she may have caught a glimpse of the car speeding away. And that small detail could end up being the thing that comes back to haunt Juan in the next season. If Oriana truly saw something, it means Juan isn't safe either, and the guilt of what he did might not stay buried for long. It was honestly a bit disappointing to watch Juan run straight back to his father the moment things got difficult. Instead of standing on his own, he spent the entire time trying to sit in Mariano's shadow, desperate for approval, desperate to prove that he was the son worth choosing. And when Mariano didn't get what he wanted from the situation, he made his next move without hesitation. He sent his men after Beth and Rip, trying to eliminate them completely. But that attempt failed badly. Beth and Rip held their ground on that ranch, and they made absolutely sure they never lost an inch of it. One of Mariano's men was captured during the fight, and Rip wanted answers from him immediately. But getting information out of him wasn't going to be easy. Mariano is known and feared as the godfather of this operation, and he made a pact with his men that ensured their loyalty no matter what. This pact was tied to something called the Saint of Death, and it meant his men would rather stay silent forever than risk giving up his location or exposing any part of his operation in Mexico. It's a terrifying level of control, and it shows exactly how deep Mariano's influence really runs. One of the most unsettling scenes in this entire episode was watching Mariano standing inside a church, denouncing Satan, acting as if he was a righteous man seeking forgiveness. But in reality, he is the true evil in this story, hiding behind faith while orchestrating murder and destruction from behind the scenes. That contrast made him one of the most compelling and terrifying characters we've seen on this show so far. Then came the moment that changed everything. Beth received a phone call at the very end of the episode, and it was Mariano himself on the other line, telling her that Carter had been taken. In that instant, the entire dynamic of the story shifted. Rip immediately understood what was really happening, saying that they don't actually want Carter, they want Beth and Rip themselves. Carter is just the bait. Beth's response was ice cold. She said that if they wanted them, then they were going to get them, no matter the cost. It was a chilling way to end the season, and it makes it painfully clear that the war between the Duttons and Mariano is far from over. If anything, it's just getting started, and the next season is going to bring a level of danger we haven't seen yet on this show. Carter's storyline throughout this finale is honestly one of the most frustrating parts of the entire season. All he had to do was listen to Beth and Rip, the two people who gave him a home, protection, and a real chance at a better life. Instead, he ignored their calls, brushed off warnings, and made the reckless decision to plan a secret escape with Oriana after finding out she was pregnant. He spent his days acting just like Dwight used to, wasting away, sitting in the same spot drinking, completely disconnected from the people trying to help him. When he heard a knock at the door, he assumed it was Oriana coming to run away with him. Instead, he was ambushed and taken by Mariano's men, turned into leverage in a war he had no idea he was even part of. It's frustrating because his own selfishness and refusal to communicate is exactly what landed him in that situation. And now Beth and Rip are going to have to risk everything to bring him home safely. What makes this ending so effective is how it ties every storyline together into one explosive moment. Buller's guilt, Robert's death, Juan's desperate need for approval, and Mariano's years of hidden rage all collide at once, leading directly into Carter's kidnapping. Nothing in this finale happened by accident. Every piece of the story was building toward this single explosive moment, and it sets up a next season that feels darker, more dangerous, and far more personal than anything we've seen so far on Dutton Ranch.